Yeah,
my
I
God.
do agree. I think that the stronger your discernment gets, the smaller that your dating pool gets. And people think that that's a negative thing. They get into scarcity mindset and feel like, oh my God, like my dating pool is getting smaller, when you're actually just you're like honing in more clearly to what you want, so you can more quickly cut out what you do and don't want. So another thing I want to touch on with this community, specifically Red Pill community, and I know that when these shows just say men and all men, that's not really the case. This is a little bit more of a tame one compared to others, but there's still a lot of red pill rhetoric, and it's it's silly to me that there are a lot of men in these communities who shame and judge women for choosing the wrong men, but then on the flip side, they shame and judge women for like not choosing better when their standards are too high. And
whose standards? The men's standards or the women's?
The women's.
The women's standards are too high.
They judge and blame and shame women for choosing wrong, and essentially what they're saying is not having good enough standards. Then they're judging and blaming and shaming women for having too high standards. And so it's again just this like pointing the finger, when we could all really just like go within and like align to.
I think most men don't really give a fuck if you date a scumbag. Like, that's on you.
You hear it a lot in this community. They'll like say, oh, you chose wrong or whatever. It's just something that I hear a lot. I've watched a decent
Well,
lot
yeah,
of
if you
this.
date a dude who's a
I was gonna say,
scumbag.
a lot of times we choose wrong as women.
Right, absolutely. And I'm not
Because-
saying that we don't. We do. It's vital to take full accountability. And like when I'm coaching people, and I am the hardest on myself, and when I'm coaching people, I go in on these women, like in a loving space. You have to hold people accountable, just like you would lovingly call out a real friend. But it's harmful because a lot of these men are looking up to certain men who spew a lot of this rhetoric, and I'm not like referring to you specifically, but these men will shame women and say that they're like getting played and that they're falling for the games and it's their fault, and understandably the lesson's the lesson, but these same men are falling for the men that they look up to, like running the same game on them. Like a lot of these men in these communities don't have integrity. They may be financially successful,
Erroneous.
but
Erroneous.
yeah,
Erroneous.
yeah, but they're
Grandstand. Keep going.
it's not a moral grandstand. I really don't like. Everybody judges to an extent, but
I don't
I'm
get
not
your
judging or
point.
shaming.
Men are shaming women because women are picking shitty men. But are you?
And then also judging and shaming women for saying to choose better. So they're judging and shaming no matter what you do. It's a lose-lose situation is what I'm saying. And I'm not even saying men. I'm saying the men in this community.
I don't know specifically.
It's not all men.
I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but if a woman dates a guy who is a scumbag, that's on her. And people are fair to say, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, no, of
And
course.
if a guy dates a
But that's
chick
not
who's a
shaming,
scumbag,
or that's just saying the truth.
Raven
But,
DT donated $100. It's one thing to make
Yeah,
mistakes.
exactly.
It's another to keep dating the wrong guys and then not holding yourself accountable.
So I'm just going to say it. Like, specifically, Andrew Tate, he is literally, it just got leaked that he's literally doing exactly, allegedly, what he's been accused of. And
hold on.
and these
Andrew, hold on,
and
no, no,
these
no, no, no.
men,
Hold on, hold on.
these men
No.
are looking up to him and judging and blaming and shaming women for falling for the same type of guys that these men are falling for. These men are getting played by these men that they look up to, and then judging and blaming women for getting played by the same kind of men. And that's just the silly thing that
Well, I'm not sure specifically what you're referencing, but I would point out that I believe it was yesterday or the day before, Andrew was actually released from house arrest. So who knows how the court case is going to proceed. Maybe they find him guilty, maybe they don't. In any case, it's pending. It's a pending criminal case.
Right.
Innocent until proven guilty. We don't know what the situation is.
And regardless if they find enough evidence to
But what's your
find,
thing? What's your thing about Andrew
regardless-
Tate? I don't get it. What?
Regardless if they find enough evidence against him, his voice is literally being emotionally, mentally, and physically abusive in these leaked messages. So regardless if they find enough evidence,
Look,
I'm not really
I
so
don't
worried
disagree.
about it.
Okay, I don't disagree. Hold on, I don't disagree with you. Andrew Tate has said from his own mouth some very damning things. For example, when he was on the Full Send, the Nelk podcast or whatever, he said that he would take men for everything that they had. And no, I don't. Excuse me. Let me clarify. I don't think he verbatim said that, but he said that he was like behind the keyboard and he was managing OnlyFans girls, and he. My view is he did. It sounded a little like fraud, but
Chest tat girl needs a real job. Get me in the next pod. I have a mill on YouTube.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
look.
Miss you.
Thank you, Sam. I think Tate has said some damning things, but
It cannot be a
we
marketing
we
strategy.
can.
Overall, he has some very good.
He has
and
some good messages for men, and
points.
he's
I
said some
want to say
stupid
this.
shit.
And
I do agree. He does.
I have to say he's made
Okay.
out to be.
So which one is it?
It can be
You can
both.
be both, I guess, but
It can be both.
He's misconstrued by the media a lot of the time.
Sure.
Like if you watch his whole podcast, he has some good stuff to say, and a lot of people are just mad because it's the truth and it targets a group of people that are not usually targeted.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I'm not like triggered by anything he does, says, or anything. My issue is more that it's like a harmful thing to spread. He does say a lot of very truthful things about men having integrity and being transparent, and yet the opposite is actually what he's doing. And this has happened a lot with people mirroring to the world to be this iconic man with integrity, and yet very real things get leaked about them that shows otherwise. It's not just him. I don't have anything personal against him. I just think it's very...
okay, get off your
funny.
grandstand. We get it. Andrew Tate has said some damning things. Like, it's okay, cool. Are you going to land the plane? Or are you arriving at your point?
No, I already made it.
Okay.
That's not